Hey guys, what is up? So I watched Alx James, Gabbie Jeanette Hanna, You Tried It, part 1 of. So yeah, we don't know how long Alex's series is gonna be, but I'm excited to watch it. So Alx starts the video off by making fun of Gabbie. Well, let's be real, he makes fun of Gabbie throughout this whole entire video, and I'm smiling because the whole entire video, it's entertaining, it's funny, but that's Alx. So he starts off the video by saying, "Gabbie, really? People are making money off of you?" And he actually compares her to a tangled up headphone. Take a listen.
Do you understand? You are literally like a pair of headphones when you put them in your pocket. The detangling, the exhaustion it takes to get them back straight and in order so you can listen to it. You best believe I better be compensated on this mess.
Alx goes on to say that this series was never about Gabbie Hanna wanting to heal, but instead this was a desperate attempt for her to clear her name. And then he goes on to say how he never wants to hear the terminology narcissistic, neither do I, ever again, and gaslighting. And then he goes on to say that Gabbie Hanna made her team reach out to BuzzFeed for a profile, which makes sense because Gabbie Hanna used to work for BuzzFeed. And then he goes on to make fun of her BuzzFeed article. I mean, like I said, he makes fun of her throughout this whole entire video. Alx then mentions how Gabbie is remembering or reciting this whole entire thing wrong regarding him telling her about how she needs a nose job and getting lipo. He says that he got lipo in a nose job and Gabbie came over his house, you know, asking him 1,000,001 questions, and his response was, just take a listen.
Gabbie, let me just remind you, since you forget so much, you came over to my house and asked every question in the world. You wanted the doctor's name, you wanted his number, you wanted to know how much it was, you wanted to know what areas I had done, how long was I gonna be out, how do I feel like, and in the midst of all that, you're saying like, I need to get some, right? I need to get some, and my comments back to you, which has never changed, is just like, girl, if you want lipo, if you want a nose job, go get it. Just go to the right doctor. Like, what do I look like sitting on a couch in recovery of a nose job and lipo? Like, you need to go get a nose job and lipo. I didn't even want to tell my fan base that I got a nose job and lipo.
Then Alx goes on to say that Gabbie was never an ally. Gabbie was never their friends. Gabbie was a social climber. Gabbie used people, and then after she got what she wanted from them, she moved on to the next person. He goes on to say that, you know, Gabbie Hanna only wanted to talk to people who could build her up, basically social climbing, and how she actually would never give him the time of day sometimes. Like, she would never ask to collab with him at all because, you know, there were so many better people out here in these streets that she could have collabed with instead. Then he goes on to say that anytime you present Gabbie with receipts, instead of her confronting those receipts and saying, hey, I'm wrong, instead, she'll throw another accusation your way. And then it goes into this vicious cycle to where now you have to answer that next allegation or accusation Gabbie says about you, while she never gets to answer for the receipts. People have made videos about Gabbie Hanna, Joey Josefa, Daniel Prada, and she has not answered that. She threw out her video, they show their receipts, and she moves on to the next thing without really taking accountability or just responding to those receipts. And then Alx talks about how Gabbie Hanna has never presented him with a lawsuit, and talks about the one time to where Gabbie had an anxiety attack and he told her that there was a ghost in the hotel or in the room, and that really freaked her out. And honestly, I can understand that part, especially when you're having an anxiety attack. The last thing a person wants to hear is that there's a ghost in the room. So that's understandable. But then Alx mentions how apparently he had a stalker or someone harassed him, and Gabbie, she knew about this, and she pretended to be his harasser and use like this voice changing app. Alx goes on to say that Gabbie made him humiliate himself and made him say like really just degrading things, and if he didn't say this, that Gabbie, because mind you, she was pretending to be this person who was harassing or stalking Alx. So if he didn't say these things, then Gabbie was going to release his bank account stuff, his private information, his photos on his phone, and all that jazz. So now we're at 10 minutes and 56 seconds into the video where he just addresses the people who say, Alx, why don't you take this offline? Why don't you handle or talk to Gabbie Hanna offline? And then he goes, this is the 18 reasons why I cannot talk to Gabbie Hanna offline. Feel free to pause the screen, but he lists them all and really goes into detail with some points to why he just really can't talk to Gabbie offline. One of the things Alx focuses on, because he goes through these points and he starts reading them, but he focuses on Ready to Glare, how Gabbie Hanna added Ready to Glare in that thumbnail about like exposing all the drama channels or talking about them. And Alx goes on to say that the only reason why Gabbie decided to add Ready to Glare in that thumbnail was because she was so annoyed with Ready to Glare and other drama channels not really having her back, not really sticking up for her. And he makes this point that if you don't agree with Gabbie, or if you don't listen to what Gabbie tells you to do, then she will make it a point to get back at you. Alx even talks about the Tana Mongeau incident that recently happened. So if you don't know, Tana Mongeau on her podcast called Cancelled, she talked about how Gabbie Hanna tried to sell this story of a YouTuber who tried to hook up with Tana while she was underage. And Tana's like, what if that was her trauma? What if, you know what I mean? So I thought it was really strange that Gabbie would try to sell a story like that. So throughout this whole entire video, Alx goes through reasons to why he cannot address Gabbie off camera, and he has 18 reasons, but he leaves out reason 15 and 17 because he said it's like inappropriate, or it was like too much for YouTube, I guess, or he just didn't want to take a deep dive into those reasons. So then Alx talks about how if Gabbie Hanna can't be real to her own therapist, who she's supposed to share everything with, what makes her think that she's going to be real with us? Take a listen.
Psychological counseling will not help them since they deny what they are. She's even admitted that she doesn't tell her therapist, the person she's paying for, to tell her the truth, to tell her about herself.
To be completely honest, and this is like not advice that I'd like to give people because I think that I'm a very particular case. I actually found that I was holding myself back a lot in therapy because my social anxiety was so bad, and my fear of being somebody that I didn't want to be was so bad that I was holding myself back a lot. Like, my mom has borderline personality disorder. One of my biggest fears is being like her. So I would hold back pieces of information that would make me feel like, oh, well, if I say that, maybe that will confirm this thing that I'm so afraid of. It was just really hard for me to break that boundary. So when I started talking to a camera by myself, just kind of freely speaking, which is what my new channel is, I was able to do it without fear and without hesitation because I knew that I had the edit.
She don't even tell her the truth. If she don't tell her therapist the truth, you think she gonna sit back and tell y'all the truth? And y'all were the ones that's paying her bills?
Facts, he's not lying. And then he dives into the 16th reason to why he has to address Gabbie online. And then he shows footage of Gabbie Hanna and Peyton. So let me read the 16th reason and then I'll show you the clip. So, they are usually women, but can be men. The women tend to control their men with sex, compliments to inflate their egos, or any words that would manipulate them for their cause. They pick passive men blank so they can dominate them. And then he shows this clip.
I'll be snarky or something, and I'll just like be irritable or be in a bad mood. And like, he doesn't get in a bad mood about it. He's just like, you're pretty unfazed, unless you just don't express it.
It's bad.
You don't express it? Oh, I wish you would. I don't want to be mean to you.
Honestly, I don't really like the fact that Peyton is being drawn into this, but he did it to make a point about Gabbie. And then after reading off the 18 reasons, or really 16 because he leaves out 2 of them, but after reading off these reasons, then he asks us, would you really, after all these character traits that I just listed, would you really want to deal with someone like that offline? Now here's the kicker though, 18 minutes and 38 seconds into the video, he addresses the part where he lied about being in a car accident because he didn't want to like tell us about his lipo or his nose job, and he kind of like swims over that. So duly noted that he did lie to us about that, and he tells us though that the reason why he didn't want to tell us is because he didn't want the people watching his videos feel like they needed to get surgery. Like, he didn't want them to feel like they needed to get a nose job or a lipo. Yeah, take a listen.
She pointed out that I lied about getting in a car wreck so that I could get a nose job and lipo. Like, I will talk about that later if I need to talk about that. And again, I had a conversation with Gabbie specifically before I even filmed that video. And I said, you know, I just don't want to straight up tell my fan base, literally what I say in the video, I just don't want to tell my fan base, you know, I got a nose job, and then, you know, people look at me and like, oh my God, if he thinks he needs his nose done, like, what do I need to do? But again, all of this is just distractions, just little sideline comments, so she doesn't have to address the topic at hand.
Overall, I don't think Alex should have lied to his fans about the whole car accident, because people get in car accidents all the time and it's just not something, you know, to really lie about. However, I do understand why he didn't want to tell his fans, and I think honestly, if you want to change something about your body, that's your business. You know, if you feel like you want lipo, you go get that lipo. Like, my opinion is, obviously love your body, but if you have the coin and you want to change something about your body, my opinion, go ahead and do it. And I don't think you really need to tell anyone about it. It's your body. So that's my take on that. So then after addressing this, he talks about how Gabbie lived in LA for 9 months. And in those 9 months, she got kicked out of 3 friends' apartments. She got kicked out of Alex's apartment, which will be up in the next video. Hopefully he'll tell us why. She got kicked out of Jesse's apartment, and she got kicked out of a friend from back home's apartment as well. Then he goes on to talk about how Gabbie Hanna really doesn't comprehend why he's still friends with Jesse, how Gabbie doesn't have any friends anymore, and how she's losing sponsors because sponsors don't want to work with her. And Alex tells us that he's going to share all of this information with us in some other videos. So we're supposed to be turning on our notifications, and he says he'll post whenever he wants to post the next video. So that was the whole entire video. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed it. Alex did lie about the whole car accident thing, but I am curious to know why he kicked Gabbie Hanna out of his apartment. I'm curious to know the details that we don't really know about, the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm interested. I want another episode, because this was more entertaining than Gabbie Hanna's series, if I'm just being honest. But yeah, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.